Alrighty, let's go over what happened today. Today is obviously Friday, September 17th, which is the third Friday of the month. Expiration of the, I guess, triple witching, which is expiration of the stock options, equities, futures, commodities, and I guess bonds or something. Could be quadruple witching, I'm not sure. Either triple witching or quadruple witching, but it essentially the end of Q3. So now we are starting Q4, and of course, triple witching results in crazy behaviors today. And if I had not transitioned to this 15-minute layout, tracking the 15-minute, I would have been trapped so many places, potential trap. Normally, I look at the 5-minute, and just by looking at the 5-minute, you are gonna be set up for traps. I mean, this right here is a trap all the way. I mean, so many traps along the way. If you're looking at the 5-minute, thinking there's a bounce here, every position you can think of. Shopify, look at that, all the way down, then all the way back up. Tesla. I mean, this type of behavior you will never really see on normal days. I mean, this is W, a W. When was the last time you seen a W? Well, a W happened. This is kind of like a crooked W. W happens on triple witching or quadruple witching, whatever it is. The behavior today was absolutely unpredictable. And I was fortunate, really fortunate, to have switched over to this 15 minutes because by switching over to this 15 minutes, I was spared of these 5 minutes trapped. I mean, everywhere along. This is a 5-minute trap right here. Of course, I did take the position on the 5-minute, but then I didn't add one like I normally did until it got to this 15 minutes, right? So I added one. I was like, you know what? It's got to bounce off this 15 minutes, especially on triple witching. It's got to. So I add one, and this bounce right here, this gave me about 200. Now, I could have gotten a lot more if I held on. But look at that complete reversal. I mean, at this point, you don't even know what to say. I mean, yeah, it looks fairly easy, but it's so scary that I kind of missed out on everything here. I did get a Shopify overall, up 400 for the day. But the most important thing is I did not lose like I normally would lose on these 5 minute setup. I'm telling you, like in the past, these type of 5 minute setup, this is a loss of at least 1,000, 2,000, 1,500. I mean, I don't know how to tell you any other way. It's just so hard to play this type of behavior when you look at the 5 minutes. So I'm pretty much hoping that transitioning to the 15 minutes would allow me to clean up a lot of my technical mistakes that I make intraday. Now, of course, I still move over to the 5 minutes at a time to see what's going on because I need to see the granularity. Like in this case, I like to see this granularity, but having my default screen on the 15 spare me from some of this. Something was just not, looking at this VIX, things were just looking kind of weird today, and I was like triple witching. You can't just because it's strong. And let's go ahead and overlay the QQQ so we can see a little bit closer why that is just a perfect trap. I mean, if you looked at everything today, here you see, right? Look how strong Amazon was compared to the QQQ. I mean, the QQQ is sinking, sinking, sinking. Amazon's holding at VWAP, VWAP. I mean, and then all of a sudden, boom, here's the 5 minute, and then boom, further down. So this type of kind of like, I guess, just a collapse, so to speak, unexpected collapse because it was so strong. I mean, you can only see that if you're tracking the 15 minutes. If you're tracking the 15 minutes, you can see that here, it starts to fail and it's gonna be a magnet to the 15. A magnet right to the 15, right? So these 15 minutes lines are so much more powerful than the 5 minute. The 5 minutes just traps that time, and even more powerful is the 60 minute. Look at that 60 minute. I mean, here's another behavior I noticed about this 60 minute. What happened is right after the fact, right? So after in retrospect now, you can see this is 60 minute, right? This this tail right here looks to be very close to the 60 minute. Now, when it was all the way down here, it didn't look as close because this lower value, right? When it's all the way at the low, at this point, the low is 352. Now it could have just went to 350, I'm sorry, 3450, right? Even if it went to 3450, which is right here, and you say 3450 is right at the 60-minute trend line. When it was down to 3450, this 60-minute trend line was actually depressed further down. And I did not realize that until after the formation has completed that. I say, wait a second, this tail looks a lot closer to the 60-minute than it was when it was down at the low at the time, which is 3452. It was like it was down here. And the reason why is because the value of this 60-minute line, trend line, is depressed based on this data point, and this data point was further down. So because this data point was further down, this trend line was further down, so it looked further away. That is a visual kind of mistake, visual anomaly that I didn't realize until now after the fact. Say, well, you know what? When it finally closed, had it even closed further up, let's just say it closed further up here, this trend line would actually go higher and touch the tail. Haha, that is so interesting, isn't it? So it's basically this formation of this trend line is finalized at the close. So at the beginning of this candle, the very last hour, the further down it is, the further depressed this trend line is because it's a 60-minute trend line. So you have to take that in consideration when to get the actual bounce, because like I said, this 60-minute trend line is an ace king, and I normally would put it right at 3450, right? Now I didn't get to 3450, but the point is the discipline, the idea, the concept is solid. And when you deal with solid concept, even if you lose because it penetrates or whatever, your concept, your strategy is solid. You take the loss or whatever it may be that happened as the results of your discipline, your strategy, and you be happy with it because looking at hindsight, that was a perfect bounce, right? Maybe it did get to 3450, and I had initiated a contingency to hit to buy a call option. That's a good 12, all the way at the high right here, which is 34.65. That's 15 points. That's at least 1,000 gain opportunity loss that I missed out. Now, looking at the 60-minute trend line, looking at this 15-minute trend line, this is where you need to establish your discipline, your technical determination of what is going on. And this 5 minute, although it is very good to look at as far as trying to detail analyze it, a lot of time is traps. A lot of time is traps. Now it's still good to notice that the Amazon was outperforming the QQQ. That is a very good thing to notice, because if you were to get it at the bounce, whether it's here or whatever, Amazon is going to be stronger, and the bounce will be more significant uh, than the QQQ. Now you say, well, why wouldn't you play the downside? Well, you wouldn't play the downside. I mean, strategically, why would you play the downside? I mean, look how strong it was yesterday, right? Yesterday is here, and Amazon was acting strong in the morning. So why would you play the downside other than the fact that technically, I guess, triple witching, but I wouldn't play the downside. I would try the bottom dip, and obviously it's the wrong strategy, but still the concept is correct. Knowing what you know about technical and it being triple witching, because at any time it could have just, like here, it could have just gone all the way up. I mean, look at Shopify, for example, right? So if you look at the 15 on Shopify, here's the 15 on Shopify, right? It was breaking in the morning. It was breaking out at the 15. So you can say, look, here was the breakout point. So it was really trying to break up to the 60 at this point. Now, had you gotten that wrong and try to buy in, you would have lost out. But let's just say you decided to hold, and at which point would you get back in? Well, you would get back in right here, right? You would get back in, or you would add a position at this 15 because this is the reestablishment of the 15. I'm going to get rid of this guy. The reestablish of the 15 is solid. Now you say, well, it got up and it went back down to VWAP. That is fine. So if you missed this out, or if you did get this, you sell this, and you want to get back in, this support at the VWAP, allows you to get this. So this right here is what would be the opportunity cost had you not gotten in, because it was a solid break of the 15. Here's one, this is the first time, this is the second time, this is the third time, and now it has a magnet for the 60. Has a magnet for the 60. Essentially, this was an initial attempt to break out, failed, but it was rescue, and now it's here. So obviously, this peak right here lines up with the 60. So that's a magnet right there. So guarantee you it's going to go to the 60. So if it gets to the 60, what would you do? Well, it probably would fail it, right? Because the first test of the 60, it would fail it. But it doesn't necessarily mean it would fail it. It can go above a little bit, then wiggle around, and then go up even further. So that is what, right now, to technical analysis, if you look at this, right, this is right at 1500. This I guess this is the 20-day moving average. So now this is the 50-day moving average. So it's gonna be a target for the 1500, which is above the 60. Now the 60, it may readjust, and as this more data comes in and it gets a little higher, the 60 might start to go higher. Um, all of that is really dependent also on the QQQ. Even though Shopify would probably still outperform the QQQ based on the technical results of today, the QQQ is obviously looking down, and it's lower on the McCullough oscillator, starting to go red. It's at a low. Right now, this is at, I would say this right now is at a low for the current, no, it's really at the low, right here too. So at this current data set, it's at the low. And the volume is pretty high. So yeah, you say it's triple witching. Obviously, the volume is gonna be high. This doesn't mean any day. One day triple witching, it could be anything. But no, a lot of time, like I said, Friday is a seed. Friday is a seed to something further that can go on. And this, now that this candle is finalized, complete, this data, this is low of day ending essentially, I think. 37. Well, yeah, in the aftermarket, I guess, is what happened. It wasn't low of day, but the aftermarket right now, 372.87 is low of day. So, I mean, Monday may test this right here, right? So, Monday, you would say, well, it should be technical Monday. Well, it would normally be technical Monday. However, today was Friday, triple witching Friday. And so this whole bit of data, this is a lot of volume that came in. So now the players are gonna go, like, they're gonna be aware and react to this. And so this now is two red, 2 red week, right? 2 weeks of red, with this week being higher volume. So this is setting up to be negative, really. I mean, look at, I mean, 2 weeks of the last time there was 2 weeks that negative, it went further down. Most of the time, if it's 2 weeks of negative, now this is a bounce week, but here is another one. So more often than not, if you get 2 weeks of negative, it's gonna go down. So if this is another down for this week, you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 5 weeks compared to, this is 1, 2, and essentially that is 5-2. Yeah, and so I'm thinking it's gonna be down this week, this coming week, right? Which is gonna be, what is this coming week is, yeah, this coming September. This, I don't think anything significant. Before I forget, Amazon do have earnings on October 28th. So you gotta play for what will happen October 28th. That's still a long way from now, but I'm gonna keep bringing it up because I don't want to forget. October 28th is right here, which is on Thursday, right? Thursday. And guess what? Friday will be crazy because earnings will be after hours on October 28th. So Friday's gonna be crazy. And then guess what? This would be, I guess that would be November, right? November 1st. Yeah, November 1st is when Jeff Bezos will begin selling his shares, right? His allocated shares that he has, probably 3 million shares of Amazon that he needs to get rid of in 2 weeks or 3 weeks, however long he allocated. It's automatic. It's already written in stone, essentially. Like, he already applied with, well, his financial advisor or whoever manages his account has already applied this for the SEC. They already got it. They know he's planning to sell 3 million shares come November 1st. So let's see what happened. Will that information be leaked out to other people ahead of the game? And you're gonna see. Let's see what happens, right? We don't know right now, but it could be up, it could be down based on earnings. Who knows, right? Last earnings. Remember, this is what happened last earnings. This last earnings was catastrophic. So it may be the same catastrophic earning, I guess, failure. And if that happens, it's gonna be all the way back down. Yeah, this is Amazon, right? So it's all the way down here. So it'll probably be all the way down here again, and maybe even be at 3,000. I mean, that seems incredible for this Amazon to be at 3,000, but 3,000 is nothing on the large scale of. If you even look at this on the monthly scale, I bet you it doesn't even look that bad. I mean, look at that, 3,000 right here. Look at that. That is not that big of a value change overall compared to where it was. I mean, compared to this, come on, this is just like ridiculous, right? This type of game, when you come and when you pull the curtain back and look at it overall, the big enchilada, the big cake, whatever you want to call it, this is huge, and this little movement right here, this is nothing. So yeah, it can be down to 3,000 after Jeff Bezos complete his selling, which is in November. That's the anticipation I have long. I mean, for the big picture of what is to come. So going back to what happened today, you can see Apple. Let's take a look at Apple real quick. I mean, Apple. Is that negative or positive? Well, look at it. It penetrated though. So 1, 2, 3 days it had support at the 50-day moving average. So now it's below. Like I said, man, this is what we're talking about, right? Level to level, right? The higher it is, the bigger the fall. So it can be targeting this 20-week moving average right here. I don't draw this line in after the fact. These lines are already established, right? All these lines. This is a 20 week moving average. This is the 50 week. This is the 100. This is the 200. Every one of my charts have it. It's the same chart. It's just on different time scale essentially. But they act like magnets. So I would say that the target next week is going to be this 20-week moving average for Apple. And if Apple is targeted for this, the QQQ is going down. Look at this, it's still going down, right? So I would say it's looking negative for both the global market, or I guess the larger market. Let's take a look at SPY, right? SPY has penetrated the 50, so that's negative. When was the last time it ended on the close? below the 50. I mean, come on, that is ridiculous. And did it end low of day pretty much? Well, after market, after hour, it ended low of day. So here it is. So yeah, so we'll see. Probably, I mean, probably on Monday, this candle will actually show differently because this is results with aftermarket as well. But I would say, yeah, maybe it goes a little bit further down and bounce this. I mean, this 50 is strong, right? How many times has they bounced on the 50? So many times. One, two, three, four. I mean, five. Six. Yeah, this was like the only time. So 6 out of 7 time it bounced. The only time it didn't bounce was here. So, but again, it can happen. Trust me, just because it bounced 6 out of 7 time, this could be the other time where it doesn't bounce and it goes further down and then goes back up to test the 50. So it's looking bearish technically, right? Everything is looking sort of bearish. IWM still looking relatively strong. It's funny because when the general market, like the Qs, the SPY, the DIAs at the 100, beautiful, man. It's just right there. I mean, these technicals are just lining up. The DIAs at the 100, so this might bounce at the 100. It may or it may not. So overall, the general stock market today, you got Apple at the low. Shopify, of course, is the only one that looks good. Bookem is down. So let's take a look at Bookem real quick. And I do play Bookem now because it is a high option play. And I've been looking at the 60, the 15, and of course the 5. So this setup right here says that, yeah, it's going toward the 60. So I probably won't do anything until it gets to the 60. And maybe at the 60, which is at 30, somewhere around here, I might sell a straddle because it depends, right? It depends on what's going on. I might sell a straddle when it gets to this 30, 2300 range, because that right here is a stable range kind of speak. But when it breaks out like that, like you see this level to level, the volatility is now kind of increased. So I don't like that part of it. However, we'll see. I might have to do another analysis close or have some more data to show up. But even if it gets to this point, if the volume is weak, you see that I'm gonna see maybe a day or half a day, and I'll probably sell the straddle just because I think hopefully it's gonna stay stable for a few days to get. I mean, this book, the options are so expensive that a field day, 1, 2, 3 days, that's gonna be 2,000, probably 2,000. So that's something good to sell because that option is sort of expensive. Let's take a look at Google and let's see what's happening on Google. Yeah, Google is very difficult to play in my opinion. I mean, there's nothing here is below the 60, but I will not short Google. There is no way I will short this guy. This guy is way too powerful. Bookem, of course, looks good. Let's look at these biotech, the vaccine stocks, right? mRNA did bounce. Funny, went all the way down to here. I mean, that's hilarious. But yeah, it did bounce, right? So this is the whole effect of triple witching. So that is triple witching right here, right? They need to readjust the price because of all of this, I guess, all of this movement, all of this gain. The market maker need to get it all the way down, and of course, crazy movement, right? This is at what 3 o'clock, the last 30 minutes. My goodness, no wonder I have a hard time playing this. I mean, this is crazy. But yeah, I'm gonna start looking at this more because this has opportunities if you play with these type of plays like BioNTech and Moderna. You got to have to play a little bit on the swings, right? You don't want to get anything in the middle because essentially the middle will get you hurt because it's going to swing one way or the other. if you do get these type of plays, you want to look at the biggest scale and get it. If you're gonna short, get it toward the upper end. If you want to buy the longs, get it toward the bottom end. Selling the straddle would pretty much hurt because it can go one way or the other. It can go. So here's Amon A Moderna. Uh, Let me go back to that 60 again. So yeah, right. So look at this range. So right now I would not be. I mean, it's hard to play, to be honest. Maybe the only thing you can play is the intraday. Really play the intraday and kind of just look at the 15 and the 5 and kind of gauge the 60 where it's like right now if it starts to get weak, let's just say it goes up on Monday, breaks the 15, and then when it breaks the 15, if it goes back down and goes below the 5, then you know it's going to test the 15. If it's going to test the 15, the chance of it may break the 15 and go back and test the 60. That's the only way you can play these type of stocks like Moderna and biotech. What's going on with Nvidia? Nothing here. Still a strong stock. Anything else? Facebook. Let's look at Tesla real quick. I want to see Tesla. Facebook is at the 50-day moving average. Man, like I called it, right? I mean, it was like this. I was saying, yeah, this is a double doji top, and this week is bound to be a down week. Well, there it is. Now it's at the 50. I won't be touching it because just because it's at the 50 doesn't mean, yeah, you have one, two, three. I mean, how many more data? You know, yeah, one, two, three. The last three times it went down to the 50, it bounced, but that doesn't mean it's gonna bounce. It just doesn't. But it can, if it gets down and it starts to go back up, then you can say, yeah, that's a bounce, and then you can probably go higher, especially if the QQQ is favorable, meaning the Nasdaq is in a positive environment. Nasdaq, I mean, Tesla's still looking very strong. I would not be touching this guy. I mean, it's way above way above the 60, so very strong. Probably could break out, but again, I'm not gonna play. I don't chase. Not my discipline to chase. I mean, these opportunity costs. I mean, other day traders, momentum traders, investors, whatever, they say, oh, that's a big opportunity cost. There's always opportunities, man. When you're dealing with options, there are always opportunities. Opportunities everywhere. There is no shortage of opportunity. Like Amazon options, every day is an opportunity if you read the technical correct. Game, AMC, Apple, Google, Bookem, Shopify. I mean, even the smaller guys like Nvidia, right? There's always opportunities on these options play, and I just don't like to chase. Even though there are strategies where you chase and you make a lot of gains, I would not be doing it. So let's see what else is. I don't think there's anything else except I want to. Let me see. Google. Let's see how the oil stock is because I do have some oil stock and they are looking. Roku is bouncing, so I did not see that today. I want to maybe get into Roku, and it may just it's so far down right now. Yeah, I won't. I mean, I won't get Roku, but I like it. Let's see. Back to this. Yeah, Norwegian Cruise Line is still looking strong, and this guy Plug Power Play. Yeah, some of the energy. So the energies, the oil, they're still looking strong. I feel like I'm missing something that I need to analyze, but I guess not. Oh, MicroStrategy. This is the last one that is a opportunity that I don't normally play with. But let's take a look at it anyway. Yeah, look at that volume, man. That is triple witching for you, right? But I don't know if you can read anything to it except that it's probably gonna go down because this is going down and this is going down. So yeah, MicroStrategy is going down. I would not be selling the straddle, but I don't think I like to play the downside, to be honest. I'd rather play the upside. So I'd rather get this guy on the bounce on the 50. And you say, well, look, it's the fourth time it's going to be bouncing on the 50. Do you really want to risk it bouncing on the 50 and getting caught? Well, when it gets there, I'll make that determination. But I'm not going to try to anticipate that it gets down to the 50 just because it looks like it gets down to the 50, just because this is a peak to peak level, right? It is a peak to peak level all the way from here and continuing to go down, no doubt. But these type of this guy, it can easily whatever happened to Bitcoin, and whatever if they just hijack Bitcoin, this thing all of a sudden just jump up to 100, 1,000, and you pretty much blow your account. You blow your account because you're trying to get this little thing. I do not want to play the downside on something like MicroStrategy, right? Playing the downside on MicroStrategy or Moderna is very risky because these guys got a lot of short interest and they can fly. Even Tesla. I mean, I do not like to play the downside on Tesla. And you say, well, look, if it failed this top, it's gonna go down. Yeah, it can. It probably will, but the risk, I don't like that risk. So that is my strategy for the week. I am down about 300 for the week from the high. I'm up for the week, but I'm down as far as the account being at its all-time high by 300. Hopefully, this new strategy will help out, and I will reach a new high next week, hopefully on Monday. So that's where we're at.